Okay, hi. If you've watched one of these videos before, you know kind of the whole shindig, but if you don't, my name's Clintleetwood, and I like to help out new players level up, so to speak, in their Mechabellum skills. To give you some background of myself, as of late, I've been in a little bit of a Mechabellum rut, rather. So I am hovering around the low 1700s at the moment, in the high 1600s, which, to give you an idea, still puts me in like the top 150 North America. So it's like still pretty respectable, but there's been some weird meta shifts that I don't think I've really adjusted to that well. With that all being said and all that nonsense, this is another replay review where a player from the Mechabellum Discord is asking for some help. In this case, it is FFA, who we've featured once before on the channel, versus another player by the name of Cybertrash. FFA is playing Supply Spec with Sledge Crawler into Quick Supply Spec with Arclight Stormcaller. I think these are both reasonable drafts. I dislike this draft more, mainly because I feel like it's a little harder to pilot than this. I think this is just like a good template to transition into like a much more well-rounded comp and is more suited for the those early round unit drops than perhaps this might be. But let's see how this goes. We'll see if we can pick apart anything here. And if you haven't watched one of these videos before, this is going to be like a one take stream of conscience sort of run through the replay, where I will pause and talk about things that interest me or things that I think that maybe a player missed or could improve upon in the future. Okay. Let's see. Mass Recruit round 1 is like pretty strong from Quick Supply. On that alone, we should be losing this round. We don't really have a great way to punch through these arc lights quick enough in the time it takes these Stormcallers to kill us. So, just a couple things. It felt like this vertical crawler back here is a mistake. I'm not sure if I understand the purpose of having this horizontal and this vertical. But let's see if that becomes relevant here in the near future. So what's probably going to happen here, right, is that these arc lights are pretty well positioned to deal with our chaff. So I think a lot of our chaff's going to die while the Stormcallers get to do a lot of damage here. Oh, actually, turns out I'm slightly wrong. We do get in a little bit over here. That's pretty good. So it looks like these Stormcallers are positioned just in front of the tower, if I'm not mistaken. This might be exploitable by crawler move shenanigans, so let's see. Yeah, so here's those early unit rounds that we were talking about. I feel like Fire Badger's insane for us. It's also insane against us. This unit is just insane. But is there a way for us to exploit this? I think outside of like crawlers here, not really. We could like move command crawlers this way, maybe, or like this way. Realistically, right, we could also start playing for a flank over here. If I'm not mistaken, we set up a flank like here. These two will get pulled, limiting the DPS against our sledgehammers. But generally speaking, right, if I'm running and trying to headbutt into this, one of the first buttons I'm thinking about clicking is this. So that might be like a round 3 thing. realistically, right, we could also take like this Typhoon or Scorpion, sell it. So if we take Typhoon or Scorpion, so we would take Typhoon in the case, right, because it's the cheapest one that we can get to sell, and that would be an extra 300. We have, so we took 100 hit from the Fire Badger, so we would have 500, 450, 350, 650, and we could have gone Mech Rage, Blank, would have been 350. We could have gone Crawler here, that'd have been 250, and then like another Sledge here. Just some thoughts. I think Fire Badger flanks are a little ambitious. I think I would rather have these just be straight up. I'd rather have these be straight up, and I would rather have delayed chaff in the back, so that these arc lights kill this, right? These arc lights kill our front lane chaff, then get stuck on the Fire Badgers, while our Fire Badgers kill their chaff, and allow our Sledges to do their work. I guess this is fine. Scorpions are a little spooky though, huh? So this might have been a scenario where Marksman might have been the best. But this is like a pretty strong defense from your opponent. In this case, right, if we look at their board, actually, real quick, let's just take a look at what the drops are. I mean, right now, Assault seems pretty good, either back here or back here, maybe even back here, back here. What do you end up taking? Okay, makes sense. I think this should be deeper. Like here. I think boat is actually a fantastic idea, though. I think this is something that we could transition much later. So like, for example, I think this round, right, we could have gone Stormcaller to match. And it's like good against everything here, right? It does okay into the mirror. It does really well into Scorpions. It does insane into Fangs. It completely hoses Arc Lights. So yeah, I think this is just a little early, but I think this is a super strong read. I think this unit does completely hose the board. But if you look right here, right, we are missing a deployment, and I think that is so crucial in these matchups. So yeah, I think if anything, if you're really looking for critique on this round, this should be like a round 4 or 5 move, and this should be we should have Stormcaller here and here, and we can bank, right. So here's what we could have done. We could have gone Stormcaller, right? We would have 250 left over. Next round, because we have 800, we could have unlocked with the 200 we banked this round and gone Overlord. And we would be, that'd be a hell of a tempo swing. Just some things to think about in the future. Sometimes the hard part about this game is learning when to bank and when to lace in that money you bank into the proper terms. But yeah, I think like Overlord here and here is like fine, right? But I think it's certainly Stormcallers this round. I think this is also misplaced. I think we want this like here or here. I think you're going to end up by default winning this round. There's nothing that really deals with what we have in the air. But now we kind of tipped our hand, and we only have one boat. So it's going to be kind of hard for us to really push this tempo advantage. If we had 2 boats, right, he would have to spend his next 2 deployments dealing with those 2 boats, and we could just like I don't know, for example, right, we could sell one of the boats on one side and then deploy 3 boats on the other side, and suddenly he only has like a like 2 or 1 unit or 2 units to deal with 4 boats. And yeah, and then we could click like chain gun or overlord artillery, just for those that don't know the terminology. And we are cracking him very hard and very fast. Then we can, right, if he goes like into marksman or melter, then we add in wasps back here. Like, there's a lot of really cool and sick transitions that we can consider here. We could asymmetrically favor one side, either this or this, or any number of other things. But yeah, another thing that I'm kind of worried about here is I feel like our chaff clear might be lacking, and this is sort of why I was talking about Mech Rage being a strong pickup early on, is that it really helps with this chaff clear. I don't want my boats ever shooting crawlers. And in general, crawler, sledge, boat, insane combo. Absorption module, redeployment. Oh my god, we even get a redeployment. Right, so we could have gone like double boat here. Redeployed, have 3 boats over here, right? Okay, I mean, this seems okay. I think the better usage of redeployment here is pulling these guys out. I don't think they're doing anything. We're not really pulling any units. We're not really killing any chaff. Not sure if this arc light needs to be moved. Oh man, this arc light has done nothing all game. Yeah, see, we're getting hosed over here now. And we're gonna win again. Phoenixes take a decent amount of time to chew through a boat. The thing to think about, right, is if we're seeing stuff like Phoenixes, Wasps do great, so does boat range. You would actually outrange these Phoenixes pretty handedly. Range spec. I think range spec here is a trap, my man. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it's very good. So to give you an example of when I think range spec would be good here, I think range spec would be good here when we have a bunch of sledgies into scorpions. And that's kind of it. Or if we're mirroring, right? Like if I have marksman and you have marksman, I want range spec. If I have Mustangs going into your Mustangs, I want my Mustangs to shoot farther away than yours, right? In this scenario, I don't think you get a lot of benefit from range specialist, unfortunately. I think that's a waste of 400 credits, to put it lightly. What are some of the other options here? This is a card that I think I've undervalued in the past, deployment spec. And I think it has kind of resurged in my mind of being an insanely strong and powerful card. So if we had taken this, right, we have 950. I mean, we could drop 4 sledgies right now. We could drop 4 sledgies, redeploy or start selling off these flanks. And then go like Mech Rage, and like our chaff clear is solved. Our boats are focusing targets that they should be focusing, and maybe all is right in the world. But yeah, I think this card might have been a bit of a trap here. I think it's going to put us too far behind, and I think we kind of have the tempo here So like another way we can think about this turn is like more boats and range rather, and really starting to push our tempo advantage. So if we force them into like more Phoenix commits, right? Like, well, we can just sell out of this big boat. We can drop a couple fortresses here, like AA, and suddenly all these are fucking dead. And our remaining boats with range start to do a lot of work. So just some things to think about, right? We can force opponents to make tech committal decisions or overcommit to this idea of how to counter stuff and then counter it right back. I think level 2 sludgies also is a mistake here. They still die in one shot. So nice. Yeah, Wasp is a good call here, I think. I think this is a little too far back. I think I would want it like vertical here. Cool, yeah, so I mean, like I said earlier, right, we could be selling out of these flanks, redeploying them. We could sell out of this boat and go AA for it. If your opponent ever clicks this button, AA for it becomes insanely valuable. And the main reason why, some people might say, well, the Phoenixes sit at further range, meaning they're more safe. I disagree. In every experience that I have ever had in this game, anytime someone clicks this button, what ends up happening is the Phoenixes stop sooner, so this Phoenix is probably going to stop like right about here. And if my fort's right here, it is launching the barrage as the Phoenixes is in this area and stops right here and eats the full barrage and dies. The problem with range is it makes the Phoenixes stop sooner. If this person, for example, had charge shot, which reduced range, that would actually be better because the Phoenixes would stop, I think, here. Like here as opposed to here, and thus, like when my fortress is over here firing his first barrage, these Phoenixes are constantly moving and trying to dodge the missiles at least. I think I've mentioned this before, range begets range. If your opponent clicks range, we also need to be clicking range sometime here very soon. I mean, this looks good for you. With our crawlers getting in like they are, I think it's time to consider clicking this button. This is a good round for us too. Nicely done. Oh my god, and you're gifted the fortresses, man. Oh. I mean, if I'm you, right, I click this button, I drop one here, I drop one here, I click AA, and I think the game ends. Like unironically, I think the game ends. I think there's no way for them to deal with the boat. I think the game just catapults out of control. You click replicate, you click range, and then you build more boats, and the game just becomes a nightmare for your opponent to manage. Can we go sandworm? Okay. I don't know if I understand sandworm here. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. But I feel like sandworm here doesn't really do a whole lot, and I also don't see them on the board, which is super weird. I imagine he kind of did like here and here. I don't know. Maybe they'll show up later. We probably want to be considering these buttons. Okay, there's one worm. It's dead. Oh. Just got a worm. Get the fortress with it. Yeah, I think we should have done fortresses here, my guy. I think that would have been a lot stronger. These phoenixes get to comfortably sit at range and DPS, and they have no right doing so. Similarly, right, the breakdown here is that 3 forts with AA, 1 shot at level 1 Overlord. That is not a useful stat when there are level 2 Overlords on the board. Level 2 Overlords should generally beat the 3 fortresses that are sitting there. So, yeah. I don't know. I think this really did you in. Like if we're talking about like missteps, right? I think there's a lot of missteps here. I think this is straight up a blunder in terms of like chess, right? I think this is like you handing the opponent the game. I mean, it's fine. I think I'd like it like over here, personally. Okay, I mean, this seems okay. Interesting use of redeployment. I still wish we had clicked this at some point. I think there's just a lot of wasted supply here. I think these are wasted supply. It's tough. We're kind of pot committed at this point. We need to be clicking this and this. All right. I'm gonna stop for a sec. We are dead, right? If we lose this round by any amount of damage because of what's on the board, we are dead. There is no reason we should not be clicking rapid resupply, and we should always be clicking this button if we're about to die. There is some cases where we should also be clicking high mobility, but we should always be clicking rapid resupply if we're about to die, and always clicking enhanced rage. The way I want you to approach this is a matter of sequencing. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and I would get really tied up in my turns. And one of the things that I would always do is if I had a very important turn or a turn that I felt that was very important, I would simply do the things that must be done first. And by that I mean, right, what I was just saying. If we are about to die, the thing that we should always do, this and this. We should always just click those 2 buttons, and then we can worry about the rest of the turn. Talk that through in your head. Have that dialogue with yourself. I must do this. We do the things that we should or we need to do first. I think we're going to lose here, unfortunately. There is a lot of spooky stuff on the board. There is a world, right, where this kind of manages to push through along this corridor. But I think at the end of the day, we've missed our opportunity to really kind of shut down these phoenixes. We don't really have great single target damage. I mean, it looks good, though. Oh. Yeah. I mean, it was close, man. I think with a couple tighter steps here and there, like you don't lose this round and we go to another one. But also, I just want to instill it into you. If someone is teching phoenixes, you always punish that with AA forts. So some key takeaways here, right? We need to be ordering our turns better. We talked about round 4, right, where we dropped the boat, or round 3 rather, when we dropped the boat, when we could have gone double Stormcaller and then use that 200 unlock to unlock a boat and then go double boat next turn. We had times, right, where these flanks were getting completely stuffed. Like, I mean, this just answers this like pretty efficiently, right? We should be moving this stuff out. We don't need to sell this off, right? We have relocate or whatever it is. So we can, or redeployment, sorry. So we can be moving these units, you know, to the front line where there would be a lot more handy. And I think in this case we went a little too tall with our boats. I think a level 2 boat is just fine into this kind of stuff. I think right now what we need to do is a larger amount of quantity of boats early on, and more specific answers to these phoenixes. So that's either ranged boats, right, with mothership eventually, or AA forts. And since the game gave us 2 forts, we could have easily dropped a fort here, or a fort here, and like a fort back here, clicked AA, and completely hosed this side. This person would then not have been able to answer in the same regard, or if they did, right, we can match them. And because we have our overlords tanking for our wasps, and he has nothing in the air tanking for his phoenixes, we are just ahead. It is the long being the short there. Another thing, outside of like sequencing rounds and using money efficiently, we need to be doing the things that matter. And that is, if we're about to die, we need to be clicking rapid resupply. There's a rhyme right there, right? That makes it easier. If we're about to die, we should always click rapid resupply. Cool. All right. I I hope that was helpful, and I hope you learned a couple things here. If you would like another replay reviewed, by all means, hit me up. Outside of that, follow me on my Twitch, on twitch.tv/Clintleetwood. But for any viewers at home that would also like a replay review, I would love to do that. Just drop me an @ in the official Mecha Discord, and I'll be happy to talk about how bad you're playing. All right. Love you all. This community is amazing. You guys are amazing. Cheers, and I'll see you around.